It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
This is The Oil Stream. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here. I am live in the Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen studio where you can pick up your Oilers Collector's Cup at all Popeye's locations for $16.99. You'll get a classic chicken sandwich, nuggets, Cajun fries, medium drink, dipping sauce, and one of the 4 Oilers Collector's Cups. Tom Gazzola is not here in the Popeyes studio. If you're watching on YouTube, you see he's not even at his house. He's out at the rink at Rogers Place. It's a busy day for the Edmonton Oilers, who've won 13 straight games after defeating the Flames on Saturday. But that's not the story today. The story today is that the Edmonton Oilers have signed Corey Perry to a contract. The AAV is $775,000. Before I bring Tommy into the show, I'll just actually quickly run through the bonus structure, because there's some bonuses for $325,000. This, according to Cap Friendly, and that's $225,000 will be earned for 10 games played for Corey Perry. $50,000 if the Oilers win the second round of the playoffs and Perry plays in 50% of the second round games, or 50% of a total of the first and second round. And then another $50,000 if the Oilers win the third round, which is the conference finals, and Perry also then plays in 50% of the conference finals games, or 50% of the total games played of the playoffs through those first 3 rounds. And with that, I bring Tom Gazzola into the Oil Stream. Tommy, how are things down at Rogers Place with Corey Perry coming to Edmonton?
Busy day, Matty. Busy day. Obviously, the assembled media. Feels like old times when something crazy around here would happen, and that's exactly what happened. So Corey Perry on the ice with his new team today. The announcement coming as expected, and I don't know. It's weird. I was right there, Matty. I got here early. I was right there when he came on the ice. He went to Jeff Lang immediately, kind of shimmied around, and then Langer kind of did some stuff to his blades, and then Perry went and took a lap around in his new blue and orange gear, and I was just like, this is so weird. And the first thought that crossed my mind was way back in, 2003, when Kevin Lowe had a deal with the Anaheim Ducks, Mighty Ducks of Anaheim at the time, and it was for Mike Comrie, for Corey Perry, and one of the caveats was that Comrie was supposed to pay back $1 million bonus that he had just received from the Oilers, and Mike Comrie's not going to say yes to that just to get traded. So it was real hardball, old school mentality, and Kevin Lowe obviously staunch in his ways, as we know, and Mike Comrie digging in his heels way back then. So 21 years later, Corey Perry is an Edmonton Oiler, and it's just like, wow, weird. And we'll see where this goes, but you can't knock this guy's resume, that's for sure. And Matty, the Oilers and the fans, they needed depth. They wanted depth. They got depth.
I completely forgot about that story. In all this, I'm thinking about Corey Perry with the Ducks and how our Oiler fans going to deal with Corey Perry coming. I completely forgot this was the trade that Kevin Lowe, for some, felt got away. And nice memory when it comes to that one. The full circle now, 21 years later, I guess, if you will, it's 2024. He's now that Edmonton Oiler. Kevin Lowe must be smiling right now somewhere.
He's probably across the street. Being like, well, better late than never.
Corey Perry and Ken Holland, they will be speaking to the media. We'll air the audio of that right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. So those that are on YouTube, we won't have the video from it. We don't have any videos, cameras down there to get you the visuals of the press conference, but we will have the audio of Ken Holland and Corey Perry for those that are listening on our audio stream, whether on EdmontonSportsTalk.com or on TuneIn. Obviously, it doesn't matter that there's video or not to you. You will get the audio, so we will carry that for you. I think I kicked you off of our audio stream just now, Tommy, because that's how we'll be carrying it. So if you go on, it says someone else is on. I've kicked you off. Apologies, but we'll be sure to let you go so you can be part of that avail. They're just, I know the media's in the locker room right now, and then Chris Knobloch will speak, and then Ken Holland and Corey Perry will speak afterwards. Like I said, we will carry that for you live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. We carried you the live stuff when Jay Woodcroft was let go and all those changes. We're going to do that once again. Brings me back to the days of 1260. Let's actually, the bigger news from the Edmonton Oilers today, Adam Ernie placed on waivers. How does
Okay.
this affect this team? You know, that's the
In a good
story
way.
we're focused on. I expect
Yes.
Ken Holland's first question he's asked about is Adam Ernie being placed on waivers. But okay, so Corey Perry, he comes to this team. He's depth. Where does he slide into this lineup in your eyes, Tommy? And when do you think we'll see him in the lineup for this team?
Okay. From practice today, I could tell you that he was skating on a line with Ryan McLeod, and you had Matthias Janmark and Derek Ryan kind of rotating in, if you will. So that foursome was the third line, and Connor Brown was still on the fourth line with Dylan Holloway and Sam Gagner. That's how they skated today. You're not touching the first two lines. So it looks like whenever they deem Corey Perry ready to go and to play his first Oilers game, he'll likely be on a line with Ryan McLeod and either Janmark or Ryan. I'm assuming Janmark, and then maybe Ryan gets bumped down in place of Connor Brown. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Connor Brown is just he's a cooler right now out there. Unfortunately, he's trying, but it's not working. So I think when they think Perry's ready to go, maybe we see either Janmark or I think probably more likely Derek Ryan slide down to the fourth line, Brown out of the lineup, depending on how well Holloway's playing at center. And if Gagner continues to produce, I think that's what we'll see. But they had Corey Perry on the third line with Ryan McLeod, and then the other three lines untouched as of today. So, Matty, myself, I think he can slide up and down. I think, there's so much flexibility with this roster and where guys kind of day to day end up being, and they can moonlight for a little bit in the top six. They can make a case for the top six like Warren Fogle has done, and now Evander Kane's up there with them. That line was together again. So this is a good situation to have again. And I know flexibility has kind of been a theme for the last 2-3 years around here. And I think that continues with this move as well. But as of right now, it looks like third line for Corey Perry when he's ready to go. And then everybody, kind of moves down accordingly. And I think most Oiler fans will be okay with that. And he could slide around depending on how he's performing, depending on what the team needs. But that guy's a boon to your lineup for sure. And yes, you're right. Adam Ernie deserves more limelight and discussion today. I'm just kidding. That's the move you're going to make. It's as simple as that.
If you're Chris Knobloch, are you trying to get Corey Perry into the lineup as quickly as possible? Or do you look at where the Oilers are at? Look, 13 in a row. They're rolling. This isn't a move that's happening in November where, okay, this team desperately needs the wins. Do you look at, okay, you got a week full of practice here, then it's a bye week, and then get them going after that? If you're Chris Knobloch, how would you want to get Corey Perry into the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers?
I would assume pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just get him going because you want him up and running. You want him going into the stretch drive, kind of finding his level, his ceiling, or whatever he can give you at 38 years old now. So I don't think that helps by putting him in the press box to get, acclimated and put your toe and dip it into the water type of thing. I think you want him going right away. And I feel like they would probably prefer to get him in against Columbus. Now, Chris Knobloch has a penchant for not messing with things that are working. We have seen a little bit of tinkering to the lineup in the last 13 games, but I think the inclination is to get him in. So if he's in tomorrow, Matty, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we're going to get a better perspective on that right away here when Knobloch speaks, and then Kenny Holland and Corey Perry follow him up in the Oilers Hall of Fame room. But I feel like they probably want to get him going and ease him in by having him play, but maybe reducing his minutes a little bit, and then slowly, game by game, pump him up if he's responding well. I think that would probably be the way to go. Listen, I think at this point, Corey Perry, having not played for almost 2 months, is probably better than Adam Ernie. It's probably better than Connor Brown, regardless of the fact that he hasn't been in NHL action for a while.
What do you think the biggest contribution Corey Perry could bring to the Edmonton Oilers lineup? What does he bring that maybe the Oilers are missing that makes this signing a good sign? Because we've seen the signings in the past of the Oilers fans where you might not like it. Some that there's mixed. I don't think you're seeing, when it comes to the player part of this, anyone really upset about this move today. What does he bring to the Oilers that helps this team?
I'll call him this. He's an a-hole who can score. He's just a jerk on the ice, and he knows how to be effective that way. He knows how to get guys off their game from the opposition. He knows how to contribute offensively. He's done that this year in his short time in Chicago. So he still has a bit of offensive panache. And at the same time, he can be a pest and a jerk and a real worm out there. That's why he has that reputation. So that's something that the Oilers could use more of. And he's the type of guy that knows how to massage a game, if you will, and kind of play to his strengths and control it in that aspect. So I think that will be a boon. And then inside the locker room, we'll see how he amalgamates with the group. Like, they tried to get him to lead the stretches today, and he was kind of reluctant. And you could see he was just trying to, tiptoe his way around the ice and not be too much of a presence. But there was a lot of woos on the ice and a lot of hooting and hollering because this Team A is feeling it from a 13-game winning streak. They just added a guy with a Stanley Cup ring and just mountains of experience and a lot of hardware to the roster. And they know that they're in a good spot right now. So I think he could contribute offensively, and then I think he could contribute with being just an absolute dickhead on the ice. And then the third thing is when he gets comfortable with his group, if he could be a good presence for this team, not just the young guys, but the team in general with that championship pedigree, I think, he brings a lot to the table in that regard.
Weird G in the nasty chat saying he's a pest and produces. The Oilers have never had that before. A reminder, Corey Perry and Ken Holland will speak to the media. We'll carry the audio of that right here on the Oilers stream on YouTube, on our audio stream on TuneIn. That's coming up, supposed to be just around 12:30. After when Chris Knobloch speaks, he's still coming up. He hasn't started yet, so we're still a good maybe 20 minutes away, but we will carry that for you live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I do got to throw this out there. You will be in the room for the press conference. Do you expect he will be asked about what happened in Chicago? Not like, I think it will. I don't expect that we'll get any sort of answer, but do you expect that Ken Holland and Corey Perry will be asked about this? Because, does that not have to be asked just based on how it ended in Chicago?
Yes. I do think that question will likely come his way. How it's worded, we'll see. I mean, is somebody going to go, hey, do you think you deserve to be in the NHL after what you did in Chicago? I don't think it's going to be directed at him like that. I think it'll be like, hey, what did you learn from what happened in Chicago? How has that affected you?
Well, isn't there also, we still don't know what happened.
Right. Like, obviously there's speculation. The mom stuff.
It's garbage. We could throw that away.
But obviously there was inappropriate behavior. He acknowledged that. The team, obviously, the Chicago Blackhawks are in no position to let anything, especially involving sexual contact, slide under the table or be swept under the rug. So they're hypersensitive to that, rightfully so. So he will probably have to address the situation in Chicago, as he should. That topic will likely come up. If it doesn't, I will be 100% surprised. If it doesn't, if Spec doesn't ask it, Rashog, Matt, whoever, if the senior faction of our media group in Edmonton doesn't ask it, a guy like me will have to ask it. I'll ask him. But there's a way to ask it without just throwing it in his face. It's something that needs to be addressed, Matthew.
And I will say this, because whoever asks that probably is going to get ripped a little on socials or whatever. This guy just came to town, but these are questions that have to be asked. Because of you don't see contracts generally just get terminated like that. And now the Blackhawks, as you mentioned, they're the one organization that had no leeway in that, especially. There should never be any sort of leeway, but the even smaller things that you could maybe just get passed with a suspension, a fine or something like that, they had none of that. They had no, it's a lack of a better term, goodwill, I guess, if you will, on that. That's a terrible word for that, but you get what I mean there. So they have to move on.
No merit.
Thank you. That's a much better word. Yep. I would also I would think that there'll be a question asked of Ken Holland of what do you know about what happened, because you would hope that at the very least Ken Holland made a call to Chicago and made a call to Gary Bettman to go, what do I need to know, and got what he needed to know, and then made that evaluation based off of this signing. Yep. I would like to think that I'm not, maybe I'm not cynical enough in this one, but I would like to think that the fact that the NHL did absolutely nothing on this says that this isn't something where this guy should never play again type thing, right?
Yeah. And I'll even extend it to the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League, after everything that's happened with the Chicago Blackhawks and and what's currently happening with some players that are in the NHL that were on that World Junior team, the NHL is in no position to let something like that slide and not be addressed or investigated and do their due diligence and be completely thorough with it. So I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure, that the National Hockey League has the entire picture and story of what happened in Chicago. And Gary Bettman, Bill Daly, they have deemed it okay for Corey Perry to return to the National Hockey League, given they have likely been told and shared the entire story of what happened. And listen, like, if you think pro athletes are angels, you're living in a fantasy world. So these guys have heard stories and dealt with crap in the past over the 30 years. Like, Bettman's been the commish. So if they heard it, went over it, the investigation, whatever investigations were done with, third-party entities or whatever, if they've given this return their blessing, they probably have a pretty good understanding and know that things are okay. And relatively, like that, they feel it's okay for him to return.
Justin in the Nasty Chat asking what time is the press conference scheduled for about 12:30-ish. We will air it for you live right here on the Oil Stream here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. One more, Tom, and then I'll let you go so you can get into the room for this press conference. It doesn't look like Knobloch has spoken yet. But who scores first, Corey Perry or Connor Brown?
Corey Perry. Connor Brown. Matty, that shot against Dan Vladar the other night on the feed from Dylan Holloway, he had like 2.5 feet of an open net, and he put it right onto Vladar's arm. It was just like, you know it isn't happening for you when you bury a perfect, glorious, wide open chance like that into the goalie. And not only like, it wasn't just like into his gut or into his side, it was into his arm extended. Like, one of the thinnest parts of a goalie, you put it right into the heart of his arm. That's when you know it is not happening for you for Connor Brown. So I think Corey Perry would probably score first. These jokes about Cody Ceci and Corey Perry are hilarious. Or not Corey Perry, Cody Ceci and Connor Brown are kind of funny because, like, which one of these guys finally going to score? And Dylan Holloway, who I thought was pretty good in his return the other night in Calgary, he fed both of those guys for really nice chances. Did they come away with anything? No. Should we be surprised? No. And so I think Perry has the leg up on both of Connor Brown and Cody Ceci when it comes to getting on the board first with a goal.
Tommy, appreciate this. You head down to that the Hall of Fame room and get ready, and maybe you'll still be able to catch Chris Knobloch if you get down there in time, and the Ken Holland and Corey Perry, and we'll chat with you tomorrow at some point, I guess.
Awesome, Maddie. Thank you. Good job.
There is Tom Gazzola live at Rogers Place. He was there for practice. He was then supposed to do the Oil Stream with Dusty today. Dusty had to fly out to Victoria for something. He'll be back on Wednesday. So I'm filling in for Dusty, and now I'm just filling in for Tom because the news came that Corey Perry and Ken Holland will be speaking today after the Corey Perry signing. Portions of the Oil Stream brought to you by Boston Pizza. Every day in January is Pasta Tuesday. The same great deal every single day of the month. If you're looking for a place to watch the Oilers do it at Boston Pizza, will you get $5 off medium pizzas and $1 tankards of Coors Light and Canadian. You could also join the Oil Stream this Friday at the Windermere Boston Pizza. That's the noon Oil Stream. So what's happening is Dusty will do the morning show. He'll grab some stuff. He'll head on down to the Windermere Boston Pizza, and then him and Tommy will do the Oil Stream this Friday. So if you want to see Dusty and Tommy up close and personal, you could do that right at the Windermere Boston Pizza at noon this Friday. Still waiting for the Edmonton Oilers to have... Well, I'm also waiting to see... Chris Knobloch's supposed to speak first. Then it's supposed to be Ken Holland and Corey Perry. I'm just trying to keep tabs here to see if... just making sure that I'm not missing anything or a little bit behind. No, it does seem like we are still waiting for Chris Knobloch to speak, and then we'll hear from... Corey Perry and Ken Holland. Actually, if Chris Knobloch speaks soon here, we might actually just play a little bit of Chris Knobloch. But this is the Oil Stream. Matt Iwanyk with you. That was Tom Gazzola. We'll jump into the Paris Jeweler inbox at 780-218-9999 momentarily. We will also... You could jump into the Nasty Chat as well. The Wolf texting, who's going to get sent down so Perry can be in the lineup, will be Adam Ernie. Well, actually, the Wolf, that happened before the oil stream began today, late this morning, I guess, if you will, 11:42 to be official. Adam Ernie was placed on waivers by the Edmonton Oilers. So, yes, that is exactly what they're going to do with that. Radley texting in 780-218-9999. I'm really worried with Brown. He had a grade A plus opportunity at a wide open net and fired that puck far side, not even on the net. It would have went wide. That's tough. Yeah, I think on the hangout today, we had Connor Hood from the U of A. And Jason Hills, and Connor Hood, he's a proclaimed Lightning fan, not necessarily an Oilers fan, but doesn't watch all the Oilers games. They asked the question, what's wrong with Connor Brown? And I think it's hard not to just point that that's mental right now. No, like he's getting his chances, like that opportunity. Why isn't that going in? And you could always just say it's finish. You got to have the finish, and like that's just really kind of meaningless. Everyone will love finish, and what does that completely mean? I think the issue that Connor Brown has right now is it's just too much between the heads, too much between the ears. That there's thinking too much, and I think when you look at the Edmonton Oilers of this season, what was maybe one of the turnaround that this team had under Chris Knobloch from Jay Woodcroft? If you listen to what is being said, one of the things kind of sounds like that Jay Woodcroft was really intense, really focused on every little detail, and the players were just thinking too much on the ice. And then what did Chris Knobloch do and Paul Coffey when they took to control behind the bench? They just simplified things, right? They made it a little more simple, and the players, they didn't have to think anymore. Everything came natural. And I'm wondering if just Connor Brown, he's thinking too much now about the lack of goals, the lack of production, and that's just playing in his mind, and that's the issue that Connor Brown has. I would hope, for Connor Brown's sake, that he actually scores before Corey Perry, and not like this is March or something. That hopefully in the next little bit, Connor Brown could pot that goal, because in the end, I think if Connor Brown gets that goal, does not everyone feel like then it's just going to lead to a little bit more production? That weight is going to be off of his shoulder, and he's going to be able to just start producing from there. You would like to at least think so. When it comes to Connor Brown's contract, by the way, I do want to throw this out there once again. Signs a one-year deal with the Edmonton Oilers. The cap hit is $775,000 with potential signing bonuses of $325,000. So the AAV could be as much as $1.1 million. Here are the signing bonus details for Corey Perry's deal with the Edmonton Oilers. It's $225,000 earned for 10 games played. So if Corey Perry draws into the lineup, just like Connor Brown's contract was, if he draws into the lineup, it'll be $225,000. And then there's two $50,000 bonuses that could be given to Corey Perry. The first one, if the Oilers win the second round of the playoffs, so if they advance to the Western Conference Finals, and Corey Perry plays in 50% of the second round games, or a combined 50% of the total games from rounds 1 and 2, he'll get the $50,000. And then the other $50,000 if the Oilers advance to the Stanley Cup Finals, which means they win the Western Conference Finals, and Corey Perry plays in 50% of the conference final games, or a total of 50% of rounds 1, 2, and 3, then he'll get the remaining $50,000. Those are the bonus structures. There's also no trade restrictions. He doesn't have a no move clause. He doesn't have a no trade clause. So I don't know why that would, you would hope that the Oilers aren't in a position where they're looking to move him on the deadline, which is March 8th this year or something like that. But if the Oilers needed to make a move and Corey Perry's a guy that needs to go out, like they have that flexibility, I guess, if you will, with Corey Perry. He doesn't have any sort of signing or no trade clause or no move clause. He's locked in. We will, again, like I said, hear from Ken Holland and Corey Perry. Chris Knobloch is actually speaking to the media right now. So when that is finished up, they will hopefully relatively quickly after that bring up Ken Holland and Corey Perry. And we will air that for you live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. And everyone watching on YouTube, you will just hear the audio of it. We won't have anything, the video of it. We don't have any cameras down there, so you won't get to see the facial expressions of that. But we will get you the audio. I think the only way to watch this live fully is Oilers Plus would be one of the ways. 780-218-9999 is how you can get in touch with the show, or you can jump into the nasty chat. Let's get to a couple of the nasty chats if I can. Zedmo asking, can he be sent down? And Justin Balgoni answering it so I don't have to fully answer. Everyone could be sent down as long as they clear waivers. So, yeah, like Corey Perry could be put on waivers. Actually, I think the only people technically that can't, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong with this one, would be no move clauses. I think when you have a no move clause, you can't be placed on waivers because that's part of the no move clause. You would have to agree to it, and that's the difference between a no trade clause and a no move clause, I think. I'm pretty sure on that. Someone's going to correct me if I'm completely wrong on that. Jack saying Brown is just lacking confidence. He'll find it sooner or later, probably in heaps. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, confidence just between the ears. Once he gets that goal, it's hard not to think that a little bit more is going to happen. But there also does come a point where the Oilers, at least Connor Brown, is producing and helping out on the penalty kill. Because if it's not for that, like at some point you just put someone else in the lineup completely. If he's not giving you anything because of where the Edmonton Oilers are, you can't just risk just waiting for him to finally get that goal. At some point, you just got to put someone else out there. And now with Dylan Holloway in the lineup and with the way Sam Gagne is playing, and now the Oilers, send Adam Ernie down. Connor Brown's really in a position here. He better really start producing, or you'd have to think that the Oilers, if they have to make a different move by moving some players around, Connor Brown might be one of those guys that's sitting in the press box. Actually, while we're still waiting for Holland and Perry, and they're coming up next. Chris Knobloch's done. As soon as that happens, we will air it live right here on the Oil Stream. We have Zach to come sitting at the producer desk. Throw up your mic quickly. Just quickly, your thoughts on the signing of Corey Perry.
Well, one thing I just want to say is every time I think of Corey Perry, I just think of him in the 2017 playoffs against us. And I've always thought...
Against the Oilers.
You did... Let me rephrase that. Okay. In the Oilers versus Ducks 2017 playoffs, you did what Tommy did too. See...
That's how you learn.
That's how I learned. He's throwing me in the fire.
We got to call you out.
Yeah. One day I'll learn, but that's not today. So... I always think of how much of a dog he was against the Oilers in that series and how much I disliked him. And it wasn't because he was like a bad player. I mean, he's done some things. He's got suspensions and whatever, but you want him on your team. He's one of those players that you don't want to play against, but if he was on your squad, you wouldn't really be against it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with the signing of Corey Perry on the Oilers.
Yeah, and I thought of, like you, I was just thinking of Corey Perry in the 17 and the series against the Oilers and stuff. And for those that missed the start of the Oil Stream, Tommy's the one that pointed out that back in the day, and you would have been too young for this. When were you born?
03.
Yeah, so it was like when you were born. So you would have zero recollection of this. When Mike Comrie was looking for that trade, or the Oilers were looking to move Mike Comrie, it was a deal that was going to go to the Ducks for Corey Perry. And how it finally comes full circle. I remember that I remember listening to Bob Stauffer on what would have been Total Sports on Team 1260 at that time, talking about that rumored deal and stuff like that, and it never happened. And now here we are, full circle. We got to a point where Oilers fans absolutely despised Corey Perry for what he did in 17 and against the Edmonton Oilers, and now he's an Oiler, and everyone's going to love it. He is one of those classic players that you hate the player when you play up against him, but the moment he's on your team, you are thrilled because he's a pest for everyone else then, not for your team. And the Oilers haven't had a lot of those players in the history. So with that, Ken Holland and Corey Perry, they are just heading to the microphone right now. So what we'll do here on the Oil Stream is we'll take you down to Rogers Place, and here is the media veil of Ken Holland and Corey Perry.
Obviously, to introduce the newest Oiler, Corey Perry. On Saturday, late Saturday afternoon, I was in Calgary for the game against the Flames, and we agreed to a one-year contract. I was hoping to keep it a secret and have an announcement today. It's getting harder and harder to keep things secret in the world that we live in, so that's why I'm here today to introduce Corey. In 2019, when Corey was bought out by the Anaheim Ducks, my first year here as the manager of the Oilers, I went after Corey hard, and unfortunately made a decision to go to Dallas. So I've kind of been hot after Corey a little bit, or not a little bit, hot after Corey the last few years. I think he's the type of player that every team wants on their team. He's got an incredible winning pedigree. We were just talking inside there. We were together in 2010 in Vancouver when Canada won the Olympic gold. When I was in Detroit in 2007, they beat us in the third round and went on to win the Stanley Cup. He's won a World Championship, Memorial Cup, World Junior. So certainly he's been a player that's been on a lot of winning teams. When Chicago terminated his contract earlier this year, at some point in time after that, I reached out to his agent, Pat Morris, to wonder find out what was going on. And over the course of the last few weeks, I've done due diligence to get to this point. I would say that I've talked to Bill Daly. I know that at Corey's request, he reached out to Commissioner Bettman and Bill Daly, and Corey and his agent Pat Morris went and met together in person so that Corey could tell Commissioner Bettman and Bill Daly as to why his contract was terminated in Chicago. And I have talked to Bill Daly. I've talked to Kyle Davidson, the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks. We've talked to other people that know Corey, and talked internally. I've talked to obviously Coach Knobloch and Jeff Jackson and people in our organization, and ultimately decided in talking to Corey and talking to Pat and the things that Corey has gone through here over the last 2 months to get to this point, to make himself a better person, that between the hockey, what he brings to a hockey team, his winning pedigree, and what he's done over the last couple of months to, like I said, make himself a better person, we felt that this was an opportunity to add a player that could make us better on and off the ice. He's a great leader. I love come playoff time, you think about blue paint goals and greasy goals, and that's what Corey stands for. So I'm excited today to introduce Corey to the Edmonton Oilers, and I'll let Corey talk, and then obviously we'll be open for questions.
Well, hey guys, it's over the last 2 months, I've really had a chance to reflect and get the help and take full responsibility for what happened in Chicago, and try to better myself. And those are the things that I've been working on. I've been working on with people in the mental health field and in different fields. So it's it's been a long time to get back to this spot, to be back on that ice with players in the NHL. And I have to thank my family, my friends, all the support I've gotten, the support from my counselors, and just trying to better myself each and every day. And from where I was two months ago to where I am today, I think it's been a world of difference, the help I've gotten and to where I've come from. On the hockey side, I'm excited to be here. This is a passionate fan base. It's an exciting town, exciting time of the Oilers organization. I mean, you look around that room, you got some pretty tremendous players in Connor, Leon, Darnell, and the list just keeps going on. So, like I said, I got to say thank you to the Oilers organization, to Ken, to everybody involved, to be here, sitting here today, and talking in front of you guys.
Hey, Corey, Reed Wilkins from 630 Ched. You mentioned what you've been through over the last couple months because you're an NHL player. There's reporting and a public aspect of that as well. Was hockey always in the forefront of your mind? Or were you ever concerned, hey, I don't know if I'm going to play again? I'm just wondering about that.
Well, when everything happened and my contract was terminated, I didn't know where things were going to go. So at first I took care of myself. And that was at the front of it. Is take care of yourself, get yourself in a better position, and move on from there. Take it day by day. And it's been 2 months, and every day is a step in the right direction, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
What was it like? You guys, Anaheim, you were playing against those guys. Certainly you became a bit of a villain with Oilers fans as well. How's it like being in that dressing room around those guys, and now you're going to have some of those fans cheering for you?
It's exciting. This isn't the first team I've been on where, fans, or I've had battles with other players or whatever. So, you walk into the dressing room, you say hi, you get it out of the way, and you move on. I'm excited to really get down to work with these guys and put the work in and see where this thing can go.
Hi, Ken. You guys have a pretty good thing going here, 13 straight wins. Is there a risk in adding a big personality? People say, if it's not broken, don't fix it, or don't upset the apple cart. Is this something that you had to talk to the players in the room about and sort of get a team view towards this?
When you ask that question, my first thought would be Specs up here, and he's been wondering where he's supposed to be on trade deadline day. If that's the thought process, then you should just all stay home. Obviously, well, you're trying to make the team better. Been fortunate to be around some good teams through the years, and you never really know. But certainly, we're adding a player here that like I said, he's won at every level. I got to watch him firsthand in Detroit. We had some battles when he was in Anaheim and I was in Detroit. Got to know him a little bit when we were together in 2010 in the Olympics. We're adding a player that, in my opinion, plays playoff hockey, greasy, gritty, dirty, heavy on the puck, down low. You need lots of depth. You don't know about injuries as you go into the playoffs, so you need lots of players. You need lots of depth up front. You need lots of depth on the defense. And Corey and I talked to Chris today. We're kind of shooting for Saturday. Have a good week of practice, and because then we go into that 9-day break, and then don't come out until I think the following Tuesday in Vegas. So I'd like to get him play a game here before we go into the break. Obviously, I think Chris was here. We put in Holloway the other night. I think he put in Gagné, and Gagné scored the winning goal. So, we're on a great run, but we're going to lose some games here. It's the National Hockey League, and there's 40 games to go. So today, I think we got our team better, deeper, bigger, stronger, more competitive, and over the next, from here to the trade deadline, we'll continue to see if we can find ways to make our team better.
He brings that bite that, like you talked about. Just how valuable is that when you look at your top six? You don't want to play against those guys. Now you look at your bottom six and send out a guy like that. Well,
and Corey can talk here after. What I like about Corey, he can slide up and down the lineup. He obviously early in his career he was a frontline player. Him and Getzlaf carried the Anaheim Ducks, and as his career has gone on, he's got a little bit older. He slid down the roster. He can play on your power play. He can. We had talked about. As we've gone through the process here over the last week or 10 days, as I know Corey had some other teams that to consider. We've got some people here the forwards that can carry the puck and transport the puck. He's got great hockey sense and can move the puck. And you're trying to look for, pieces that all fit together. So, you need some transporters, some people that win battles, go to the blue paint, can give and go. So we kind of felt that it was a beautiful fit because we have some players here that he can complement up and down the lineup in the top six and the bottom six, and he can play either. He can go up the lineup if we need him, and he can go down the lineup if we need him, and he can play on our power play. Certainly, we've got a good power play, but he kind of lived in that blue paint through the years. So he brings lots of different dimensions to our team.
Corey, and you're right here. Jason Greger from Sports 1440. You'd mentioned in your original statement back in November how you were, looking to get help for mental health and some substance abuse counselors. What do you say to the people out there? Because lots of people maybe are going through similar stuff like that. What advice to give them? What'd you learn about yourself during the last few months in regards to that?
This whole situation is not easy. But if you do have a problem, get help. Seek out. There's no shame in it. It's just if you need the help, go find it and treat yourself. When I get up in the morning every day now, I can look myself in the mirror and be happy about myself and where I'm going and be proud of what I've done over the last 2 months.
So now you come back. Hockey's obviously what you love. Why did you ultimately, what was it about Edmonton when you had a lot of suitors that you decided, Ken's mentioned he's tried to get you a few times. Why was this the right time now?
Well, yeah, I do want to say that there was some other suitors out there that, you know, that were great options, and I want to thank them. But it all kept coming back here. You know, when you have a 6-year-old kid and you have Connor McDavid on the team, you kind of follow the Edmonton Oilers a little. So, you know, but all jokes aside, this team's going in the right direction, and not just because they've won 13 games in a row, but you can see where they're going and their mindset and the vision they have that, you know, they want to win a Stanley Cup here. And I think you look at the pieces around that dressing room, as Ken alluded to, that, you know, there's guys in there that can play this game and play it well. And when you really get down to it, there's a team in here that wants to win. And when I talked to Connor, you know, over this before I ended up coming here and signing, you know, he mentioned all the great things that dressing room has, and it really spoke words and spoke volume for me coming here.
Corey, certainly want to respect your privacy in these matters, but do have to ask, is there any more light that you can shed onto what happened in Chicago that led to your contract being terminated?
I think when I put out my statement that, you know, it kind of mentioned everything, and, you know, that's kind of all I'm going to elaborate on.
Fair enough. Your discussion with, you know, the Commissioner, Bill Daly, how would you sort of characterize that discussion? And, I mean, at no point has the league put any roadblocks in terms of you coming back, so you had their blessing, I assume?
Yeah, I talked with my agent, Pat, and, you know, it was kind of our decision to see if they would see us. We reached out to them, and we found a meeting spot, and I went in, and it was a great conversation. You know, I got his more or less blessing to come back, and he just asked, you know, how I'm doing personally, and that's all he really, you know, that's what he wanted to know, and what I've been doing and what I'm going to continue to do, in seeing people and continue to you know, talk to people and keep getting help and do all the right things, and today here we are, and this is what it's all about, is coming back and being in the right spot and being healthy again and playing hockey and doing what I love.
Just back here, Ken, I asked this because contracts in the National Hockey League are terminated very infrequently. Do you feel like you know everything that happened in Chicago, and from an off-ice perspective, why are you comfortable bringing him in that sense?
Well, do I know every detail? No, but I have talked to Kyle Davidson, who obviously is the manager of that team. Again, I'm like, I can't tell you exactly what we said because I told him I can't tell you exactly, but based upon my conversation with Kyle Davidson, my conversations with Bill Daly, my conversations with Corey, what Corey has done over the last 2 months to get help, and we've talked to some other people, ultimately led us to making this decision to be here today.
And for Corey, Daniel Nugent-Bowman from The Athletic. I just wonder if you have any plans to appeal that termination of your previous contract with the Blackhawks.
I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Right here, Mark Spector from Sportsnet. It's been a long ride. We would probably first have met you or remembered you from the North Dakota World Junior team way back then.
Yeah.
You got almost 1,300 games, almost 200 playoff games. You're been to multiple Stanley Cups. Maybe just, you know, did you ever think the journey would go quite the way it's gone for you?
I think, what was it? We were talking earlier, it was 20 years ago, I was almost an Edmonton Oiler in a trade, and I was at the World Junior Camp that year in Kitchener, and I remember everything going on there. So it's almost been 20 years to the day where, you know, I was an Oiler. But this ride's been pretty amazing. You know, being fortunate to play for some good teams, some good coaches, some good general managers, some good players. You know what? You don't dream of this. It just you dream of it, but I mean, working at it and nothing but hard work has got me here, and that's what I've been fortunate enough to do.
We've asked a lot of the Oilers so what it's like playing against you. I don't know how much of this last 2 months of Oilers hockey you've watched, but they're playing a pretty decent brand of hockey now. Can you tell us about playing against the Oilers through your career and what you see now?
Through my career, my first year in the NHL, they beat us in the conference finals. I remember that very, very vividly. And this team, there's been some ups and downs, but it's going in the right direction, and it's only getting up, and it's only getting better. And obviously playing against the two guys that are in that dressing room, and Leon and Connor being one, probably if not the best player in the world. What he does, you can see what he did in practice today, and you just shake your head. And I'm excited just to be a part of it and to learn and keep pushing forward.
Corey, in terms of skills that you're still developing, I'm just wondering, you look at the last 4 years and your production was better in the postseason than it was in the regular season. Is that a skill that you've acquired? What would you account for that in terms of managing your game as you've gotten older to be ready when it really matters?
There's just something about playoffs that, it's one day I walked into the rink one day and I remember having a conversation with John Cooper, and he goes, "How do you feel?" I go, "It feels like playoffs. It feels like it's a different scent in the air." And we weren't even playing for a couple more days, but it was just the regular season's over. It's playoff time, and that's when you push everything to the side, and your only focus is for 8 weeks. You have one job, and there's nothing better than winning, and that's what it comes down to. That's why you play this game, is to win.
Hey, Corey. Derek Van Diest, NHL.com. Just want to ask you about how much you've been skating in the last 2 months and how you're feeling physically, and your thoughts on being able to hopefully play on Saturday.
I've been skating quite a bit. When the whole situation went down, I was in Chicago for a little bit. My family's still in Chicago. I got out and I went home. And I had my personal trainer there. I had my power skating coach in Kathy McElwain. I had ice over Christmas. So I've been on the ice 4 or 5 times a week since probably early December. So I've been keeping up with everything, and because if I didn't and this day did come, I'd be behind the 8 ball. So but today was a good day, and it's only going to get better from there.
Corey, your style of play is very unique. You've played most of your career in the U.S. The 1 year in Montreal, unfortunately, wasn't full crowds yet that year in the Canadian division. What's the experience like? Obviously, you played in London. What are you looking forward to playing in a Canadian market in a regular season?
Well, I think you can say the fan base in Edmonton is tremendous, and just being in Canada and being a part of hockey in Canada, it's there's only a certain amount of teams in Canada that people cheer for. So, but to be here and to put on the Oiler jersey is a special feeling, and you know what, it's life in Canada. Hockey is life, and there's no better place to play.
You look forward to the fact you go to a fan base that basically despise you when you play on the other team. And I mean that in a compliment. Obviously, usually they despise guys that have success against them. Many were wondering, do you still think that goal legal in 2017?
Which one are you talking about?
The Kessler.
Oh, the one where we tied it?
Yeah.
I have no issue with it. The league had no issue with it. Puck went in the net over the red line, and you move on to overtime.
Hi, Ken, over here.
Yep.
Preston from Daily Hive Edmonton. The team has been getting some great goaltending over this 13-game winning streak. Obviously, Stuart Skinner is fantastic, but Calvin Pickard has been able to play pretty well as well. So I was wondering how that kind of will affect your plans going into the trade deadline here in the next few months.
When players are playing really good, Those are nice problems to have. So, our pro scouts are flying in today. I think like most teams, all 32 teams in the National Hockey League, either think last week or this week, they're having pro meetings. We're going to have pro meetings here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have been reaching out and had some communication with many general managers over the last week in preparation to see what some teams out there might be thinking. We have to decide what we're thinking. In the meantime, the most important thing is that we've kept winning. We've obviously put ourselves into we're in the playoffs today, but we need to keep winning games, keep kind of solidifying a playoff position. That's got to happen over the next month. I do anticipate that most trades are going to happen. March 8th's the deadline, say the couple of weeks leading into that. So I just keep watching. Stu Skinner's playing, I think, as good as any goaltender. I don't know, was he a 940, 935, 940 saves percentage over the last 15, 16, 17 games? Our team is playing really good team defense. Obviously right now everything's going good. Now, again, it's the NHL. I've been around for a long time. At some point in time, it comes off a little bit and goes the other way. That's why I talked to Rob about the importance of having lots of players and lots of depth. But I don't really have an answer for you. I got to bring our people in. I got to keep watching games and ultimately make a decision. But Cal Pickett's playing great. Stu Skinner's playing great. Actually, Jack Campbell is playing great now. He got off to a real tough start in Bakersfield. I think in his last 11 games, he's over a 920, almost a 920 saves percentage. I know he gave up 2 goals and 35 shots thereabouts on Saturday night, and he's had lots of those over the last little while. So those are good problems. Those aren't bad problems. But we'll kind of assess what we're going to do here over the next 3 days, and then start to work the phones. It depends what's going on out there, and as Rob had said, hopefully this in a Corey, and we can keep winning, and things look good. So just got to keep watching. All good. Thanks for coming.
And that was the Oilers press conference of Ken Holland, general manager, and new Oiler Corey Perry, speaking to the media down at Rogers Place. This is the Oil Stream. Matt Iwanyk with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk, the home for Edmonton Oilers live press conferences, I guess, if you will, on radio here in the city. We got you back when when Jay Woodcroft was let go. We carried the press conference of Ken Holland then live with Paul Coffey, and I guess Chris Knobloch was there. I guess that's where I was going with that. And today we've got you that press conference live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. So once again, Corey Perry, an Edmonton Oiler. There he is speaking to the media. I will say this when it comes to his answer regarding 2017. Loved his answer. Of course you just say it still went in the net. You weren't an Oiler at the time. You won that game. You won that series. So I actually really like the answer that Corey Perry had for that one. And I don't think he probably thought that maybe that would come up or something. But he had a good answer to it. So well done to Corey Perry on that. He is a new Edmonton Oiler. And I think Daniel Nugent-Bowman was the one later asking about, did Ken Holland go and contact Chicago? So glad that also was brought up. Those questions, again, as we were saying with Tommy earlier on the Oil Stream, those questions do need to be asked. Just, you're not going to always just get the answer for it, but it is an unusual circumstance to just have your contract terminated in the National Hockey League. That's what happened with Corey Perry in Chicago. So you got to find out to make sure you learn everything when it comes to it. If you're Ken Holland, you got to learn everything. Fans and media, you like to know a little bit more, but sometimes those things don't come up, but those questions do need to be asked. Portions of the Oil Stream are brought to you by One Putt Virtual Golf. It's one of the best and most accurate indoor golf places in the city for both serious and casual golfers. They have 6 TrackMan bays, which makes this the perfect place to golf and hang out with your friends while catching the Oilers game. They also have some great deals like their Wednesday date night. $69, you get 1.5 hours of golf plus $20 drink credit. Don't laugh there, Zach, to come. And there's Sunday, a golf day, where you get 50% off your first hour if you bring your kid 12 and under to golf. To learn more about the deals, go to oneputt.ca/deals or visit their Instagram at oneputt.yeg. Don't spell out the one. It's just the digit 1putt.yeg on Instagram. Yeah, I saw you snickering there, Zach, and I'm sure other people are snickering there on the Wednesday deal of $69, getting you 1.5 rounds of golf plus $20 drink credit. I see you people out there all smiling and laughing. I see you, and I see you one putt for what you're doing right there. The Edmonton Oilers, they're back in action tomorrow. They're back at 3 more games this week. They will overall have Columbus, Chicago, Nashville. The Nashville game on Saturday is a 2 o'clock matinee, and then that will wrap up their January as they are on a bye week next week. It looks like we'll probably see Corey Perry in the lineup, maybe potentially as soon as tomorrow. I guess that's going to come down to fully Chris Knoblauch to see. I think the legs are ready for Corey Perry to get going, but you will probably see him in the lineup this week. I know some people both on the Hangout and during the Oil Stream saying, do you really have to mess with a winning lineup? And I get that one. I kind of agree with that one a little bit, where the Oilers aren't in a, like, remember when they brought in Evander Kane? Things weren't going well for the Edmonton Oilers. They made that deal around this time of the year as well, and like, you needed Evander Kane in the lineup. Last year when Evander Kane got hurt, it was a rush to almost get him back because the Oilers needed to get him going. This is a weird spot where the Edmonton Oilers are doing really well, and you actually have a really winning lineup. So with the bye week coming up, it's not, you don't have to necessarily fully rush it, but at the same time, I think if you're Chris Knoblauch, you're going to try to get him in the lineup just so he's ready and going and gets the familiarity with his teammates heading into that bye week. So when you come out of the bye week, which they'll be out in Vegas to start after the bye week on the Tuesday, I believe it's the 5th, he's ready to go as well with this Edmonton Oilers team. It's fun times here in the city of Edmonton. When you win 13 straight, when you bring in a player like Corey Perry, when you knock off your provincial rivals in the Calgary Flames, things are really good for the Edmonton Oilers. And even as Gazzola was telling us earlier, practice started, a lot of cheering and wooing for Corey Perry as he skated with the team for the first time. The team's just feeling good, and they have every right to be feeling good, as does every fan of the Edmonton Oilers have a right to feeling good. Tomorrow, Dustin won't be back tomorrow. He'll be back on Wednesday, hopefully, for the Nielsen Show and the Oil Stream. Tomorrow morning, EST glue guy Jay Milne, he's going to be on with Lieutenant Eric on the morning show, and then we'll have you covered for the rest of the day tomorrow, leading up to the Oil Stream pregame show later tomorrow night at 5:30. As Tom Gazzola and myself, actually, I'll be on the pregame show and postgame show tomorrow. We'll get you set for the Oilers game tomorrow night live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. We always have you covered with things that are happening here in the city of Edmonton. That's going to wrap up today's live coverage here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Coming up next, we're closing up perfect timing. We'll hear a replay of the morning show later tonight. We do got MCTV with Corey Graham and Mark Mageau, and then the Pipeline show with Guy Flaming. We got a best of show that we're going to be airing of his show later tonight. And like I said, tomorrow morning, Jay Milne, EST Glue Guy, Lieutenant Eric, and YouTube Trev. They'll have you covered right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I'd like to thank Tommy for jumping on earlier today. I'd like to thank Ken Holland and Corey Perry, making today really easy for us. Giving us the content to talk about, as well as having your press conference live right here in the Oil Stream so we could bring it to you, the Edmonton Sports Talk listener. Thanks to Zach to come behind the camera for helping me get this going. I'm Matt Iwanyk. Thanks for tuning in to Edmonton Sports Talk on this Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat with you on the Nielsen Show tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Have a great rest of your day.